And we are back. Welcome back, everyone, to the Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast. Here with my very good friend, Mr. Idris Salam. How you doing, boss?
Big Blue Monday, brother.
Yeah, man, I am so proud of our team.
Mm,
Victory Monday, which is
right,
always a beautiful thing and something that we haven't come accustomed to over the last few years, especially this early in the year.
right.
We have a chance to start a winning streak on on Sunday against the Carolina Panthers. We're going to get on that momentarily. And we're going to kind of comb over everything that went on in the NFL yesterday. It was a very eventful week one. And we're going to kind of go division by division, starting with the NFC East. And we're going to let the viewers kind of just scope out my banners here. The Dallas Cowboys are winless and possibly hopeless. Giants, Commanders, and Eagles all win. What better place to start than with the team that we hate the most, the Philadelphia Eagles? Tale of two parts of the team. I feel that offensively, the Eagles look really good, but similar to how Baltimore relied a little too much on Lamar running the ball, I do think that certain defensive approaches schematically will in time be able to limit Jalen Hurts and force him to have to pass the ball. Devontae Smith went catchless. That was kind of surprising. Definitely looks like A.J. Brown is the alpha dog over there in the early going. And, I got to tip my hat to Philly on offense. They were able to run the ball consistently. The Lions I also have to give some credit to because although they made mistakes that probably cost them different drives, they kept fighting. And, 38-35, entertaining game. Philly has a very good defense, opportunistic. James Bradbury, our former man, taking it to the house for 6. They have a talented defense, but they gave up 35 points. So, it wasn't all good for Philly, but it's a win. And they are the favorite in this division.
Yeah, I agree. I think they should have put the Lions away. But they came back, and the Lions are fighting. They're going to play for Dan Campbell. They're going to give everything they have. And
no doubt.
The defense, I think the defense let them down early to where the Lions had to fight back, and still they fought back. With Philly, yeah, they're relying too much on the run. Brown had a good day. Devontae was just, I don't know why he didn't get a catch.
That was wild. Only four thrown to him, and I believe
4 targets. Yeah,
Brown had like 13 targets.
Yeah, and I think that'll cause a problem down the road. I think he'll even out eventually. Jalen Hurts running the ball. I think he got 90 yards on the ground.
I believe so.
Yeah, that's not going to. You can't sustain that. Maybe Lamar Jackson has that skill set to where he can avoid this and that. Jalen Hurts is a very strong guy. Mm-hmm. However, it's the NFC.
Yeah,
the NFC has some pretty stout run defenses. We got the Rams, you got the 49ers, you got the Bears.
I mean, you even look nowhere past our own division.
I was gonna say
while all our teams are imperfect, we all are decent against the run.
Right? And we got defensive coaches in our division. I'm not gonna say they got to fix that, but I think they need to work on putting the ball in the air because Hurts is not going to be able to do this for 16 more games.
I tend to agree with you, Idris. I really do. And, I saw this last year with the Eagles that when they abandoned, and Zappy made a good point, but when they abandoned trying to put it on Hurts and really focused on letting 3 different running backs, being sprung by probably the best O-line in the NFL, run the ball consistently, I think the Eagles found their way, and that's the difference of why they were able to be a playoff team last year. Because you remember Michael Strahan Day, I think we picked off Jalen Hurts 4 times in that game.
Yeah.
And Jalen Hurts is going to get better. He has to get better. But I do think that it's too imbalanced for that to be sustainable. You can pull that off against certain teams, but when you start playing the NFC's elite or when you start getting into those very tough divisional games, I do think that Jalen Hurts could be exposed.
Yeah, we have the South this year: Tampa Bay, Carolina, New Orleans, Atlanta. They're pretty good at stopping the run. Good defensive line, defensive fronts. So we'll see what happens. But kudos to them. We don't
Yeah,
like.
yeah, a hard fought win, and I'm not gonna lie. I picked the Eagles in my pick'em league, pick'em
Mhm.
pool, but
Yeah,
I did think that the Lions had a real shot to win that thing, and Lions are going in the right direction too. That NFC North, which has been considered a bit of a joke outside of the Packers, is starting to
hmm
get some respect, and we're gonna hit on them shortly.
yeah. Look out for the Lions, man.
Yeah, Lions are definitely in good hands. Dan Campbell doing a good job over there. The Commanders, kind of what I expected. They're missing some pieces on defense right now.
hmm
Carson Wentz is going to take some time, but I said on a previous show that if there was ever a coaching situation that was best for Carson Wentz, it's what he's currently doing with
Yeah,
Ron Rivera and with what they're giving him on offense. Jacksonville looks much better, although there were some comical posts that were actually very true that Jacksonville is just a very poor tackling team, which I actually do agree with.
yeah.
I think Trevor Lawrence is in good hands with former Super Bowl winning coach Doug Peterson. And, like the Urban Meyer season was a wasted
Yeah,
season for
yeah.
Trevor to be that player. And it's going to take time, but I do like some of the pieces that Jacksonville has. And it's going to be a longer season for them, but I do think they're going to start figuring out ways to win games. As far as the Commanders go,
Mm.
I do think their ceiling is still right around that 8 to 9 threshold. The trajectory of both the Giants and the Commanders changes now, with Philly probably being the class of the East, even though it's early. And, we're going to hit on Dallas in a moment, but Dallas has so many damn injuries.
They're in trouble. Wentz had a pretty good day. I think he was like 370 plus, 4 touchdowns. I think he had 2 picks.
Yeah, he's going to throw a few.
Yeah,
He has always suffered from some untimely picks. That's part of
yeah,
his game, too.
yeah. And Ron Rivera, he's that father type. He's gonna push you, but he's gonna say, hey, he's gonna calm you down. Say, hey, relax. He's in the right hands. I think they need to run the ball more.
Mm-hmm.
Don't put it in Wynn's hands because he tends to get hurt. And when he has to when it's time to do it, he has a tendency of falling. I mean, just collapse.
Yeah, and you made the assimilation of why the Colts are going to be better without him. And, they didn't have the best showing week one. I still think they're in better hands with Matt Ryan. And I think you used the term not soft in the skull.
Right.
And I understand where you're going with that because Carson Wentz, in my opinion, has that's kind of stymied his career, his mental strength, in addition to obviously the injuries. But I would have to say the two big storylines of yesterday's happenings happened in Arlington and in Tennessee. We're going to start with the Cowboys wrapping up this division. Defense, picked up where they were last year. Still a very good defense led by Micah Parsons.
Mm-hmm.
Early on, they were getting to Brady. Penetration through the middle of the line. That's the way you get to Brady. You're not getting to him through the tackles. But I was really taken back with how poor Dallas's depth is at O-line because that was their staple for years. And yesterday, they just really got pushed. Last night, got pushed around by the Tampa front seven, and until Tampa, finally got warmed up and was able to finally do something on offense. Tom Brady, by no means played his best game, but it was enough.
Right.
And Tampa's going to win a lot of games like that this year because they're also looking for a new identity with the absence of Gronkowski and AB. They bring in some new faces like Gage and Julio, but tight end is still a position that the Buccaneers just don't line up the best with other teams, so they're going to have to find that production elsewhere. But Fournette, tough-nosed performance, and Tom Brady, I think, similar to his early years in New England, at this juncture of his career, and if they're going to be a player to win another Super Bowl or have a chance, he's going to adopt more of that game manager mentality where Tampa has to be a run-first team.
With that, I'm gonna hold off on my opinion about Tampa because we're gonna come to that.
Yeah, I kind of just ran over the street with
no, you're good.
Yesterday.
But see what you said basically leads into what I was gonna say anyway. Now I like the Giants cup you got there too. Represent. Hey, give that promo.
Sure.
Yo, hear that New York Giants sponsorship? But Dallas looks they're in trouble, man. They're in
Big
trouble,
trouble.
and they're in trouble. And even with the defense, Micah Parsons, God, that guy's
He's phenomenal.
he's everywhere.
Our buddy Zach, who's been on the show, actually
Yeah.
played with Micah when they were younger.
Really?
Yeah, he was showing me pictures. That's pretty cool.
Oh man, Mike is a
He's a hell of a player, and a player that I wish we would have drafted when we had the opportunity to.
God, man.
But that's how it goes. Sometimes in the draft you miss out on players that end up in your division, and while you hate the team they play for, you got to admire their greatness. And Micah Parsons definitely flirting with greatness. Bigger news: Dak Prescott, big time thumb injury. The most important finger for any quarterback is the throwing thumb. Requiring surgery. I would say best case scenario a month, worst case scenario 2 months, realistically 6 weeks at least.
Yeah.
They are in trouble not because they lost yesterday. You lost Amari Cooper in free agency, so CeeDee Lamb doesn't have that support, and everybody can hone in on Lamb. And with a backup quarterback, Cooper Rush, who I actually think is pretty good. Problem is, your O-line is not that good. You're all banged up over there.
Right.
And Pollard and the Zeke combo cannot sustain and carry this team if they can't run block.
I'm glad you said that. Boy, you're leading right into it's like you just throwing it right to me.
That's what we do here.
Yeah, Pollard, he's not a run blocker. Zeke it's like that guy just fell way off.
But he's still a good run blocker.
Still a good run blocker.
But
beyond that, it's like
you need the guy that can catch the passes because they don't have anything right now.
No.
They lost Cedric Wilson. Gallup's coming off a rough injury. I like Jarwin. Jarwin's a good football player, but they got so many issues right now in a very physical division. And I'll tell you what, it's a long season, and I know that week 1 is loaded with overreactions, but I have a feeling the Dallas Cowboys are going to be basement dwelling, and I think Mike McCarthy is dead man walking as far as head coach goes. Quentin says Sean Payton. I say Sean Payton. Zappy says Dan Quinn. But either way, I think McCarthy is out.
Yeah, I think and even with Dak, they didn't look good.
No, he did not play well even before he got hurt.
Yeah, he didn't.
And there were 2 different plays where it looks like he aggravated the thumb and then he ultimately broke it.
Right at the very next play.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate because as much as I hate the Cowboys, I don't wish injury on anybody because it could just as easily be our team a week later.
And we've seen it.
And we know,
yeah,
given some of our important stars in the Daniel Jones era, how Saquon's so important and vital to our team. Other players as well. Yeah. I mean, yesterday we played without our 2 best pass rushers.
Yeah. And with Gallup being out and Cooper being gone, you saw how much CeeDee Lamb missed him.
Yeah.
Because they were like, we know who you're going to.
And CeeDee still drops a lot of passes.
Still drops a lot. They had to dump it off to the tight end.
This is not Dez Bryant, and this is not Michael Irvin in terms of sure-handed. The kid is super talented, and he's going to be one of the best if he perfects his craft, but the kid drops a lot of passes.
And he's not the type where, like with Dez and Irvin and a lot of other Cowboy receivers, he's not the time you can dump off in the screen, just out to the flat and go, because he doesn't have that build.
I do.
And see, with Gallup, you can hit Gallup anywhere on the field, anywhere. And Cooper anywhere on the field.
Yeah. Amari is the guy that was moving the chains. And, if Brissett can prove some people wrong, and we're going to hit on the Browns in a bit, they might actually be all right before Deshaun Watson returns. But like I said, overreaction week 1, and it happens. Yeah. And we got to see how things play out. Lastly, how about our New York Giants?
Woo!
I'm proud of them because, I say this often, and sometimes it gets overstated. I'd like you to share what you called yesterday, the actual day.
American Saints Day, 9/11.
I love it. And I like how you veer away from it. Go ahead.
Yeah, I call it that because 9/11 is not a good it's not a good term anyway, even before the accident.
It's a defeating term.
Yeah, and I don't like to see it that way. And I feel it's American Saints Day because you had hardworking people who went to work that day and they never came home. Some knew what was going to happen to them. Then you had American, first responders. New York. We could say what we want to say about the NYPD and everything, but you know what? Those guys went up there and they knew may not they weren't coming home that night. A lot of them.
Indeed, and like anything else, you know, what I appreciated is that I think it humanized that career choice.
Right.
And yes, there's a history of other issues that the PD dealt with, and some of it justified and some of it media made. But I try to take everything as a case by case situation.
Right.
And I do think in today's times the NYPD has done a pretty good job of staying above the water in terms of solid policing. When you look at
big time.
where it goes into other places, like the nightmares in Minneapolis and in Kenosha, but not getting too far away from what occurred yesterday. So very proud of the Giants because without having saying it, it's a day that New York needs them to win. Bottom line, and that's a lot of pressure that comes with that. And very flat in the first half. Making mistakes, not sustaining drives. DJ looked dead. Saquon looked like he was ready to bust off a run, but just it didn't happen yet. Down 13-0 at the half. Saquon breaks a 68-yard run, still down 13-0, but that drive led to points. Missed the extra point. Yeah. Tie the game on a complete coverage breakdown that you might see maybe once a year. Jones to Shepard, tie the game
nice
up.
One. Jones to Shepard was beautiful.
Tennessee comes right back. And then the waning minutes of the game, with just over a minute left, down 7, Giants tie the game, and Brian Dable with the testicular fortitude,
ballsy,
to go for a 2-point winning conversion.
Ballsy.
And it still came down to a final field goal. Yeah. I thought the refs kind of did us dirty on the Darnay Holmes penalty because I felt like the receiver kind of leaned into him.
Yeah.
But, perception is a big part of why flags get thrown, and also narratives. I don't want to get too crazy on that, but what I will say is I don't think the NFL was exactly saying, man, I hope the Giants win today.
No.
Because, Tennessee is a marquee team. They were the number 1 seed last year.
Mm-hmm.
And they have arguably the most marketable, best running back in all of football, who we held to under 90 yards. Tay Crowder hit him with that hit stick. Inspired football, missing our 2 best pass rushers. And suddenly, this Giants team that it looked like it took about an hour and a half for them to figure out how to run their offense, with the issues in Dallas, with 3 straight home games, before our trip to England to play the Green Bay Packers, it is conceivable that the New York Giants, if they take it 1 week at a time, can beat Carolina, Dallas, Chicago at home, and head over the pond with a 4-0 record.
You know something? I listen to ESPN all week, listen to Fox Sports all week. This is what they said about our defense with Derrick Henry. Henry's going to run roughshod on us. Our defenders are going to get tired and they're going to quit because they're not going to be able to tackle this guy. Tay Crowder said, watch me. Watch me. That Giants defense said, we're not going to quit. We're going to hit this guy.
And it wasn't mistake-free football, but the thing is, they did not quit. Saquon refused to lose. I wanted to break my television when Daniel Jones threw that ridiculous interception. And I said it to you before we went on the air. I think Saquon made a mistake as well. But the bottom line is you don't compound the mistake by throwing into the defense. Saquon is not Michael Irvin.
Mm-mm.
He's not Santonio Holmes, who's going to win a 50-50. The bottom line is, Jones had no business throwing that ball where it went. He had the opportunity to redeem himself, and he showed some serious composure. Do I think Jones is the quarterback of the future? Time will reveal that.
Right.
I think his best case scenario is a 2-year extension.
Yeah.
But I'm not convinced that it's longer than that. I still think the Giants are very much interested in upgrading the quarterback position in a very quarterback friendly draft. And but until then, as the year moves along, I do believe that Daniel Jones is going to play his best football of his career because he has the best coaching staff he has ever had.
And with Dable with the 2-point play, that was balls.
It took a grand set to do that shit.
He let his balls hang. And I'm glad he made it not some I mean, of course, because we won the game. But
sure.
Also because had he not made it, had it not been successful, we had those fans out there who would say, why did he go for the 2-point play? Blah, 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 blah. Dable wanted to win.
Yeah, and I also think he acknowledged that his defense put up a great performance, but they were getting tired. And I don't think Dable had the highest confidence that we were going to win if it goes to overtime, because even if you look at that final Tennessee drive, the defense was making bad decisions, and bad decisions sometimes is a first cousin of fatigue, of exhaustion.
Also, had we went for the extra point, Tennessee wouldn't have been so aggressive going down the field. They said, okay, the worst case scenario we have, we're going to overtime.
He wanted to win, bottom line.
Yeah, they knew they had to go down and kick a field goal. So that gives them that sense of desperation.
And I said, yeah. Oh,
So who knows?
And
shout out to Brian Dable.
I am so proud of Brian Dable, and not because we won the football game, because I must admit, when Randy Bullock was getting ready to kick that field goal, I had that sick in my stomach feeling like I did in the Washington game. And I'm gonna
the last couple of years.
And I'm gonna reveal a little thing that I do with friend of the show, Tim Macri, one of my good friends, good friend of Brett as well. We have this joke, this inside joke. So in games where he's a Patriot fan, by the way, but he always roots for the Giants because he wants me to be happy, and we don't. So at any rate, he'll hit me right before a game-winning kick if it's on the opposition, or a pivotal kick during a game. We got this thing that we believe it only works once a game, and he'll be like, enter kicker's name is the greatest kicker of all time. And our percentage of shanked kicks is absurd, but you can only go to that well once a game. Now check this out. He did it in the Dustin Hopkins game with Washington last year, and he missed it. But Dexy was offsides, which I still don't think he was offsides.
That went on offside.
I think the refs screwed us.
Screwed us.
But the point of the matter is that yesterday I just grabbed the phone and I'm over here like pointing. I have my little centerpiece for my living room, and I was literally praying.
Yeah.
So if you would have seen me yesterday, they would have been like, "Look at this hypocrite! Look at him praying. Are you kidding me?"
Dude, I turned to another game.
And I texted him.
Yeah.
Randy Bullock is the greatest kicker ever before the kick.
Yeah.
That's our thing. That's our thing.
Dude, I turned to the other game, but the show afterward was on, and when I was watching, it said, "Oh, the Giants just won." I was like, "Oh shit,
bro!" I didn't
want to watch the game. I
looked at it, but I had a hard time looking at it. But the second it left his foot, I knew he missed it.
Yeah.
Bro, I screamed so friggin' loud that I didn't know where to run. I almost ran through the glass door. I was so excited. But we are proud of the Giants today. Victory Monday.
Victory Monday.
Just a beautiful day to be a Giants fan. And you couple that with what yesterday meant to New Yorkers and the Yankees putting the smackdown on the Rays, winning a very important series.
Yeah. Good day, man.
Good news, viewers. We're not going to go 20 minutes on every division. That was a lot to unpack. We're going to pick up the speed here a little bit. Mm-hmm. NFC North, Vikings put it on the Packers. Not that surprised. Packers have recently had issues getting out of the gates early, but I also think that in this case, Minnesota is a legitimate threat to them this time around. Mm-hmm. I'm not thinking all that much into the Bears beating the Niners. I don't like to make excuses for anyone, but that kind of weather was so bad that it was like literally playing like on a slushed out field, which is a lot of fun when you're a kid.
Yeah.
Playing at a lower level of football, but at the pros, can't be a
Yeah.
lot of fun. The Niners, Trey Lance just really struggled with that. I do not take too much from that. I think the Niners are still a very good team.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of already spoke on the Lions lost to Philly. They are going in the right direction, looking much improved.
Mm-hmm.
Anything outside of what I dropped that you want to add to this?
We won't know what Trey Lance will be able to do until next week. Better weather. The same with the other kid. So that game, you can't really take much from it because of the weather. The weather was horrible.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, it
you
was
can't run,
historically bad.
you can't throw because you can't see the ball in the air. So
But you
as
got
for
to
the
be
big,
happy for people that support the Bears just for the fact that
yeah,
I myself and many others picked them to literally be the worst team or one
yeah.
of the worst teams in the league.
But I like the game because I like that weather. I like watching games in that weather. Green Bay, yeah. Last year they got their ass whipped too, and then they came back and see what they
We're
did.
the class of the
Yeah,
conference until they choked in the playoffs.
the Vikings, everything rests on Kirk Cousins. Can you pull it off? That's it. Can you pull it off?
Yeah, time will reveal that. I like what they're doing, but like I said, you don't want to
Yep.
overreact. I have to give the Packers the benefit of the doubt, but and I also know that it's going to take time.
And with the
That's a good
Lions,
defense too, but they didn't
yeah,
look it yesterday.
they didn't look at yesterday. The Lions, they headed in the right direction.
Got to be
Um,
headed in the right direction.
yeah,
Absolutely.
the defense got to shore it up, but these guys want to play for Dan Campbell. So that division is going to be closer than I thought it was going to be before. We had that talk a few months ago.
Hmm.
It's going to be it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be like the NFC East. It's going to be interesting.
Absolutely. And I think my final thought here on the division is the best medicine for Green Bay to get over a horrific loss is playing the Chicago Bears because just like Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers also owns the Chicago Bears in a big way.
Yeah, we'll see.
Moving it over to the West, same thing. So no reason to really go over what we just said. The Niners obviously coming up flat in the terrible weather. The new look Chiefs, though, without Tyreek Hill and with a new cast of characters, really looks like they're going to be just fine.
They do, and they went to Arizona and just shellacked them.
Yeah, they whipped their
Like,
ass.
it's like they didn't miss a step without Tyreek Hill.
They actually look like a more complete team because I think it gave Mahomes the ability to distribute the ball all over the field.
Right, and not look for that one guy. Kelsey did what he does. Just take him out of the equation because you know what he's going to do. Juju was there, here, there, everywhere. Edwards-Helaire ran the ball well, 2 touchdowns on the ground.
And that's going to be important because they have to balance out that pass attack. They need to run the ball effectively.
They're going to be tough, man. I still pick them as my division leader.
And the
winner.
defense, who everybody seems to always make fun of, are they an elite unit? No, but they're good.
They're good.
And when you have that kind of offensive weaponry and that kind of quarterback, your defense doesn't have to be top 5 to win. They have to be good, and they are good.
Yeah,
they're great. They're not the 85 Bears. They're not the 86 Giants, but they're good.
Yep. Just don't lose it. Just don't lose it for us. That's it.
Yeah.
The Cardinals, I just never had any confidence in them with Kyler Murray. It's just I always say Oklahoma quarterbacks do not impress me. They just don't impress me.
Not to interrupt you, but I want to make a quick mention. Zappy just texted me up here. Odell Beckham Jr. is visiting the Rams today. Not sure what source he got that from, but if I know Zappy, it's probably true.
Yeah.
I think the Rams are already like, oh shit, we need him back. We spoke on the Rams issues.
Yeah.
And since we happen to be on the West, is Zappy watching the show? Since we happen to be on the NFC West, I'll quick mention.
Zappy. We know you're watching the show. Just chime on in.
Yeah, quick mention on the Rams. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but all I'm going to say is after the debauchery offensively, and yes, the Bills can do that to a lot of teams. It's not all bad on the Rams, but that O-line is missing their main dude with Whitworth being retired.
Yep.
Yes, Allen Robinson's a nice compliment, and he will be a good player in time with this offense, but you lose a talent like Odell Beckham Jr., they're going to wait for him to heal, and I think they're going to get him to sign very soon, probably before he even completely heals, to kind of show him, hey, buddy, we believe in you. and we're gonna sign you, but while you're rehabbing, as opposed to waiting, because I think that does wonders for the relationship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because with Beckham, man, he's that guy, injury prone, whatever. But you have to watch him on the field.
He is so damn talented, and that's nothing that will ever take away from him.
He'll make your number 2 look good, you know.
No doubt. And the thing is, what now with Cooper Kupp on the other side, Beckham is like your 2A or your 2B.
Right.
Because you got Allen Robinson and you still got Jefferson over there.
Right. So he's going to make them look good because he's out there on the field.
Yeah, because this man's going to be dealing with second and third coverage as opposed to the number one guy because, Kupp is still going to be the main focus.
Right.
You look at what happened in the Super Bowl. That was just a short sample size.
Right.
Before the injury of what Odell Beckham can do in an offense that he's featured in.
It wouldn't have been close had he not gotten hurt. It wouldn't have been close. Like I said, the Cardinals, man, I just not sold on them, man. I think
they're missing Chandler Jones.
Yeah, big time. JJ Watt, he's still mending. DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, man. D-Hop's absence is so huge. They have to try to play around 500 ball and then get D-Hop back and have that second half run, which I think is feasible.
It's possible.
I think they're a better football team than they played yesterday, but once again, and I picked the Cardinals to win this game, and it's probably going to cost me my weekly pick 'em, so I'm not happy about that. But I guess I underestimated Mahomes' ability to adapt, and shame on me for doubting him, but he did great, and I got to tip my hat to what the Chiefs did, and that AFC West is going to be very exciting. We're going to hit on the Seahawks welcoming back Russ towards the end of the show.
Okay.
Unless you got anything else, we're going to move it to the South.
Move it to the South.
We saw it last night on the national stage. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers really shut down the Cowboys, and I will admit I picked the Cowboys to win this game because while I was aware of their injuries, I also knew that Tampa had their fair share of them. And given how close last year's opener was, I thought the Cowboys were going to get them. Saints and Falcons, typical of both teams, usually providing a very exciting game that sometimes gives you the feeling of arena football.
Yeah.
And Baker Mayfield not delivering on his promise that he was going to fuck them up. Browns won a close game. Jacoby Brissett proving that he could possibly hold it down for a Super Bowl roster while Deshaun Watson is serving that 11-week suspension. Have at it, Idris. I think I already said what I needed to.
Yeah, the Saints and Falcons, in my market, they show both those games, the Saints, Falcons, and the Browns and Panthers.
Okay, yeah, that's right, because you're out in Carolina, yeah.
Yes, but I had the Packers, so I was able to watch other. But I primarily watched those two games, and Baker looked like Baker. He started real slow, and he started to heat up a little bit. McCaffrey, his numbers may not look that good, but McCaffrey looked better than what his numbers said.
His presence alone is important.
Because he broke some screen passes, some bubble screen passes. I was like, oh, shit, he's back.
Yeah, because I noticed his stat line early. I didn't watch the game.
Yeah.
Because I was back. I'll be honest. The 1 o'clock game, I was really honed in on Pittsburgh and Cincy.
Yeah.
And I watched a little bit of the Patriot game, and I was like, damn, they're terrible. But the Falcons with Mariota, even though in defeat, he showed me a little something that he actually might keep that job for a little while.
Their defense, man. They just.
Yeah, it's the same old Falcons going back to that horrific Super Bowl collapse. Jameis Winston was the mark of a lot of jokes yesterday until the Saints finally got their offense rolling.
Yeah,
Chris Olave is going to be good.
Oh my God, yeah. And like I spoke to you yesterday through text. Zappy. Cordell Patterson, man. That guy, man. He's one of those guys that. Guy can do everything. He rushed for 100 yards yesterday. I think he had 100 yards yesterday. I can't remember. But he showed his ass, man. He just balled out. Mariota didn't throw any touchdown pass, but Mariota ran for 2, I think it was.
Very versatile. Mariota, to me, from the skill set, is very similar to what we currently have in Daniel Jones. That's why a lot of people felt that Mariota would have made sense to come over to the Giants as maybe a stopgap.
Yeah.
But No, this is a very intriguing division because this week you got Tampa going to the Saints, and I already told you what Tampa did to Dallas, and the Saints have owned Tampa for the better part of 2 years.
Brady even said that.
He did, and I expect a very tough game for Tampa.
Yeah,
I believe it's in New Orleans, and I would
It's
not be the least bit surprised if the Saints win that.
Yeah,
And getting on this Baker Mayfield situation, playing the Browns, I want to make this very clear. This is not going to be an easy game for the Giants at home against Carolina because this is a team that's going to be trying to avoid 0-2.
Mm-hmm.
And on Showcase is going to be the two biggest question marks at running back in most fantasy leagues and in most the NFL in general because their talent and their ceiling is unparalleled by any two others. Talking about Barkley and McCaffrey. Ultimately, I think what wins the Giants the game, keys to victory, is the same thing that are the keys to victory for Carolina. They've got to be able to limit the run game, and they've got to be able to induce mistakes from two quarterbacks that, if you rattle their cage, can and will make mistakes. Talking about both Baker Mayfield and our guy Daniel Jones. Very winnable game, but the Giants better not look past Carolina because if they do, they're going to be 1-1, and they're going to be looking at a letdown.
Based on what I've seen from both teams yesterday, Carolina couldn't stop the run yesterday.
I saw that too because Nick Chubb had a day as well, and he sprinkled in some Hunt
on the offensive line for Carolina. Myles Garrett had a field day on that on the left side of the Carolina O line.
Yeah,
he did. Acted a fool.
I saw that on the highlights.
Even with Brissett at quarterback, and Brissett didn't really run the ball. He had maybe a couple of scrambles. But Brissett, he could have lit that Carolina defense up. He just, it's like they wanted him just to manage the game, And he had a decent game. Not good on percentage wise, but he did what he.
He has what it takes, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Given that he's played on championship caliber teams.
Yeah.
That the stage is not all that big for him, given the support that he has. Now he proved in Indianapolis that he can't be the guy with limited support.
Right.
But with what he has, two top 15 running backs.
Yeah.
In my opinion, Chubb cracks the top 10 and Hunt top 20.
Yeah.
In that, and you got a decent enough O-line. You've got a very talented defense, and you've got a pretty good receiving corps. Like this is a team that can hang around, and if they are in the playoff picture when Watson returns, they can potentially stir shit up. And even if it's not meant to be this year, they are going places if Watson, comes back. And, you're talking about a man who didn't play in like 2 years. It's not going to be instant.
The one thing Jones has that Brissett doesn't do well is run the ball, and that's going to be the key. Play action, giving it to Saquon, or just faking a handoff and taking off running. They was able to Carolina was able to stay close because they knew Brissett wasn't going to run.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't run. Daniel's going to run the ball.
Yeah.
Saquon's going to run. It's going to be a better offensive line.
It's a lot of design runs that I appreciate because what people fail to realize is even if you think that Jonesy might go outside and get off that tight end / tackle, it's harder to stop even if it could be coming because you have to respect the middle with Saquon. You can't just ignore Saquon.
Right. So it's going to be the offensive lines, man. Can you stop, like you said, can you stop the run? Can you stop the run? Both sides, can you stop the run? Can we stop McCaffrey? And even Baker can run the ball if he has to. And can they stop Saquon and Jones? It's going to be interesting. We're playing at home, so that helps. But I think we're at home. I can't remember if we're at home or not.
Oh, yeah, we got 3 straight at home.
Yeah. So
I think that was the deal in order to play in England.
Yeah, we'll see. I think we'll win it in a close one because I hope we get Thibodeau back and I can never pronounce it.
Ojulari.
I keep want to call him Elijah. I just call him O. Cause Williams and Dexy did pretty good. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Baker coming to New York, man. You know how we are. The crowd's gonna be. The crowd's
Yeah, man. Oh, it's going to be exciting. There's going to be a different kind of buzz surrounding that stadium next year, and next week, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah,
and it's just a fun time right now to be a Giants fan. And like I said, you don't wish injury on anyone, but at the same time, I don't want to hear any Cowboys fans coming at me sideways, being like, "Oh, we were injured," because the Giants have been injured for the better part of 4 years.
Yeah.
So I certainly don't want to hear that shit. Moving it along to the AFC side of things, we kind of already spoke on this. Short and brief, the New England Patriots did not do enough in the offseason to provide the help that Mac Jones needs. And I think for Patriot fans, sadly, what you guys witnessed yesterday is going to be basically what you continue to see. Joe Flacco, he's a career backup at this point. I admit that was on my upset radar, but he just couldn't get nothing going on that offense. Jets defense is going to be good this year, but they need their quarterback back in Zach Wilson. And I was actually a little surprised that they didn't think about throwing Mike White into the mix. But Joe Flacco, it had the perfect storyline for him to throw one at a team that he won a Super Bowl MVP with. Wasn't meant to be. What do you got on this division? Miami, they looked great with their defense and with the combo of Waddle as well as Hill.
Yeah, the Pats, they didn't do enough. Play calling, and Jones got hurt, back injury. They're like the Cowboys. They're in trouble. They
are, and I think they're looking at something that they haven't been for quite some time. I think they're looking at potentially less than 7 wins this year and drafting very high, and that's something that the Patriots haven't done. Shit, you probably got to go all the way back to when they drafted Drew Bledsoe.
They understand the Cam Newton situation.
Cam was playing good before he got COVID.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
Brett will tell you that. He'll be the first one to tell you that.
With the what's the backup's name? He's been there forever. I can't think of his name.
Brian Hoyer.
I just think they put too much stock in Mac Jones. Like Oklahoma quarterbacks.
You said this on shows frequently.
Alabama because what people fail to realize with Alabama quarterbacks, what makes them look good is the talent around them. If I went out there and played for whoever, and I got a blue chipper on the left and a blue chipper on the right, and I got the nation's best prospect and running back, and I'm going to look good. It's that
5-star athlete thing where I feel that quarterbacks depend so heavily on the talent around them.
Right.
And that is a real thing. That's a big reason why I don't always have the highest expectations for Ohio State quarterbacks.
Right.
Or Michigan quarterbacks.
Right.
I feel like Brady was an exception to the rule with Michigan QBs.
And I think with Brady,
Joe Montana was an exception with Irish quarterbacks.
Yeah, Brady came into the right situation.
That helps
he had a
too.
guy, he had, God, the Pats in trouble, man. I think Miami will be much better.
Miami's a playoff team this
year. They got on both sides.
They're a playoff team this year.
I think the Jets will be improved once Zach comes back. But the class is the Bills.
No doubt. And
the
Bills, somebody proves me wrong or you wrong or Zappy wrong.
They're going to be the new Patriots in that division.
They're the best team in not only that division for the next 5 or 6 years to come, but they have a window to kind of even up the score with all those Super Bowls they lost. That's how good the Bills are right now. And I know, once again, week 1 overreactions, but this team is very talented.
Very, all across the board. Defense, offense.
Well coached, clicking, and they're getting to that trust level where they've been through the wars, and now they're going to start reaping the benefits of getting the experience of the heartbreaking losses out of the way, which they have done. Moving it over to the AFC North, I think Pittsburgh and Cincinnati, you can make an argument that they were the best game of the AFC yesterday. And I think the interconference game, or the second best game, or the best game, was also the Giant game. But this game had a little bit of everything. I went to town on my Facebook acting like it was Twitter with the constant complaints of the officiating in this game, I felt like the referees really wanted the Bengals to win. I feel like they did everything in their power to try to make the Bengals win.
Yeah.
Minka Fitzpatrick, after a brainless Jamar Chase touchdown, where I'm like, how can you not hone in on him with 4 seconds left? Blocks the extra point. Then you have a multitude of missed field goals in overtime.
God, man.
It was bananas.
The funny thing about Minka Fitzpatrick, Chase roasted him in the beginning of the game. He got the pick 6. You know, that game was that game was interesting. And
Chulo Dub. Sorry to interrupt you. Chulo Dub, thank you for watching the show.
Hey, yeah, what's up?
Yep. Cincy Shore didn't want to win. Let's hit him here first, since he's talking about Cincy. No one wanted to win. Cincy Shore didn't want to win. Yeah, man. They had every conceivable chance to win the game, and Shooter McPherson, who made quite the name for himself last year, really shit the bed. But, you know, kickers are like pitchers, man. They're very psychologically driven. Guy's a good kicker. I think he'll come back around. What really impressed me more so than anything is that Pittsburgh defense is a lot better than people give them credit for.
Yeah.
But they got to worry about Najee Harris now. Zappy forecasted it with that Liz Frank injury. Chulo Dub saying here that the Eagles put them in the Super Bowl based on talent level. It wasn't that great. And I said this earlier in the show. I don't know if you were watching earlier, but I do believe the Eagles' defense is not lining up with their offense. Right. But having said that, from a talent standpoint, they really do have a nice squad. And, you know, week 1 is week 1. You know, there were some lapses for sure, but some big play potential too with the Bradbury pick 6. I love their duo at corner. But thank you for watching, man, and I appreciate you chiming in. We always love when our viewers chime in, so thank you for watching. The AFC North, you were speaking, Idris, prior to me interrupting you, so you continue, sir.
Oh no, you were fine. Actually, I was done. you just caught it like we do.
Oh, we caught it? Okay, I just want to make sure I wasn't shorting you.
I hit the period and you caught it right there. Nah, we're straight.
We covered the Browns and the Ravens games for the most part. Yeah. What I want to say is that I'm not 100% sure that they're going to be all the way okay with Trubisky midseason. They might be. Yeah. But Pittsburgh, if I'm a fan of Pittsburgh, I'm very concerned about Najee Harris's health moving forward.
Yeah.
But that defense is legit. And they showed some serious heart. And when are we going to start giving our roses consistently to Coach Mike Tomlin? I mean, that man just keeps winning and keeps getting the most out of a roster that sometimes people think is past due. I mean, even last year, making the playoffs in the ridiculous way that they did. You know, you can make an argument right now that Coach Tomlin could potentially be the best active coach in the league, because I do think that Bill Belichick may have lost some of that luster.
You know, if Belichick wasn't in the league, he might have had a few more Super Bowls. I mean, this guy never had a losing season.
It's incredible. It's incredible.
What he's had on the field. I mean, he just I touted Trubisky, and I got faith in him. I think he's in the right system. I think they'll eventually move on from him. Because, you know, hey, they drafted that kid, you know, out of Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
I think he's going to hold it down. I really do.
No doubt.
Harris,
no doubt.
You know,
I hope Najee's okay, not just because he's on one of my fantasy squads, but
TJ's
you know, I don't want to see young players. What was the status of the Watt injury? I saw that he walked off the field in a lot of pain.
Torn pec.
Oh no.
Yeah.
That's a shame.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a season.
Like I was telling Zappy,
he was in a lot of pain. And you know that man, to leave a game on the final 3 plays, you know he didn't want to walk out. He was in that much pain. Damn. I didn't know that.
The pec is just like a Achilles.
Yeah, that's a shame.
It's yeah. And at the end,
sorry to hear that. I wish him a speedy recovery.
That's initial. I hadn't heard the the official injury, but
but if that is what it is, he's looking at the season.
Yeah.
And that's a loss that you just can't replace. But you know what? They have a good defense, so let's see if they can overcome that. Yeah. Moving it over to the AFC South, I'm gonna make this short and sweet. Colts should be ashamed of themselves for their performance yesterday. They did wake up in time to tie the game.
Yeah.
But This is a team that I picked to be in the AFC title game against Buffalo. They need to wake up.
Me too.
And shout out to the Texans and to Zappy. Zappy said this was going to be a competitive game.
I didn't think he would be. And he was right.
He sure was. We already spoke on the Jags. Nothing to see here.
Yeah.
I do want to say this on the Titans. The Titans' loss wasn't just a tough loss. If I'm a Titan fan, I'm a little concerned because I think this is the beginning of the end of the Ryan Tannehill era, which means no playoffs this year, but Malik Willis will be a good quarterback in time. Bigger than that, I think it questions just, does this team have the ability to wrap games up? And does this team have the ability to put it all on King Henry's shoulders? Because the reality is this game looked like a continuation of last year's failure to put the Bengals away.
I agree. Tannehill has to show that he can finish games. Yes, he took them downfield. It's just that team just can't win. They just can't win when you have to win. The Colts in Houston, I didn't think that game would be close. The Colts had to come back because Houston was putting it on them. Golly, that game. I kept watching the score. I didn't actually watch that game. I kept watching the score. I was like, oh my God, Houston's gonna beat the Colts. And then the ticker kept popping up where the Colts are coming back, and I saw it's tied. I said, these guys are in overtime. No way. I said, come on, you had this game.
I was shocked, but then when I saw that, because when that game tied, I was so locked into the Giant game.
Yeah.
That what I do when the Giants play, especially if there's not something important for me to care about simultaneous, I had the Giants on both screens.
Yeah. Oh man.
And let me tell you, I was just so happy for so many reasons. And I'll be the first to tell you that yesterday's a very emotional day for me, and an emotional day for so many people from our city. So yes, thank you, New York Giants, for providing us with at least one Sunday of feeling pretty damn glorious.
Yeah.
And Giants superfan Joe Ruback said it the best. He was like, I don't give a shit what happens for the rest of the year. We had to win today. And then he took it back like within a second. He says, actually, I do give a shit. But Joe was very entertaining watching him go through the airport yesterday. Big shout out, LPG. We love you as the most recognizable fan in our fan base. You're awesome. And today he does his Dunkin' Monday where he's always charity's always on the man's mind.
I love LPG, man.
Yeah, big shout out to LPG, one of the true good guys around the NFL in terms of fans.
Yeah, he really cares about the fans and the team, man. Yeah,
good human being, man. Just a really cool dude.
Yeah.
Want to hit on the AFC West really quickly. The Chargers got their revenge last night for the way that their season ended against the Raiders.
Yeah.
Once again, week one, it could be an overreaction. The Bosa Mac duo is going to be really vital to how far this team goes. We know the weapons. They got Williams. They got Allen. They've got Eckler. They've got Gerald Everett, who could be looking at a career season being in that very fluid offense. I think over the course of the last few years, or even going back before that, what has held the Chargers back is not necessarily having the best special teams or maybe not necessarily having the right defense to get it all the way. This team is balanced enough to make a run at the Buffalo Bills and to make a run at the Colts. I almost feel embarrassed even mentioning the Colts today because of what they did yesterday. But, I got to give them the week one pass. And in a couple of weeks, we'll reassess it. And I'll be like, yo, Colts, I overestimated you. You guys are still pretenders. But I can't say anything more about how good this Chargers team looked against a good Raiders team. But I want to shout out my guy, Brett. We threw up our little TikTok video.
Yeah.
Brett, your man Carr threw 3 picks yesterday.
Yeah, he did. And with me, I picked the Raiders to win yesterday. And remember, I have the Chargers coming up in third, not because they're a bad team, because they're not a bad team. It's because that division. I'm going to stand by that. I still say they'll pull up third. Golly, the Raiders. But Devontae Adams looked real good yesterday. He caught a lot of balls for a lot of yards.
He did, and I thought the Brentford was going to have the best. Chulo Dub, Allen had a hammy, right? I don't know if you're referring to Josh Allen from the Bills. Keenan Allen. Maybe you're speaking on Keenan Allen.
Keenan Allen.
Yeah, Keenan did get a little dinged up, but I don't think it's anything too serious. Who did have a more serious hammy, and I think the Buccaneers screwed up, was putting in Chris Godwin.
Yeah.
Rushing him back in a game that I don't think he necessarily needed to be rushed back in. Before Idris and I get out of here, we got roughly about 5 minutes.
Just got to think about TJ Watt.
Yeah.
TJ Watt said, he says, give me a month.
He's a tough son of a bitch. But, I mean, it should surprise no one because look at who his brother is.
Yeah, he's like,
his brother's a future Hall of Famer. TJ, as long as he plays enough seasons, has already done certain things that can probably cement his legacy moving forward.
Yeah,
which is pretty amazing. And, he tied one of my favorite football players, to be honest, one of my top 3 favorite Giants, Michael Strahan, along with Eli and LT. Those are my 3 favorites. But, I'm happy that he tied it to a level because it's, records are meant to be broken or tied. But I am happy that Strahan is still in the books.
Yeah.
I'm going to post these quickly here. These are our final scores for tonight's game. Idris has the Broncos winning 24-10 against what should be a very hapless Seahawks team, but we've seen a lot of shockers and weird things this week. I got the Broncos beating them down 31-6. We both agree that this should be a relatively easy game for the Broncos, but while we have a few minutes, this might not have the same appeal as when Favre returned to Lambeau, or when maybe, Brady returned to New England. But this does, and maybe it's the East Coast bias thing or the West Coast bias thing where the West kind of gets forgotten on certain things. But Russell Wilson went to 2 consecutive Super Bowls. He is the greatest quarterback in the history of the Seahawks organization. He won one of those 2. Were it not for a horrible call, he wins both of them.
Mm-hmm.
And my thought on Russell Wilson is I think I'm a little taken back with how comfortable Seattle was with just moving on from a franchise cornerstone. And even more insulting to me as a football fan, and I don't give 2 shits about the Seattle Seahawks, but I do respect Russ, is that the first thing they do is draft a top-tier lineman when Russ was crying for years, get me some protection.
Right.
And they counter trading him. And in this division, I know that I've been hypercritical of thinking that the Broncos don't have enough, and they don't have enough, and they don't have enough. But after what I saw from the Raiders yesterday, and yes, once again, short sample size, the Chargers wanted revenge. Carr looked to me like a guy that maybe has too many toys, and he doesn't know how to play with all of them correctly.
It looked like that.
And I did mention to Brett, that I thought Carr was in over his head and that he is not the solution to win you a Super Bowl. Chulo Dub, Russell is overrated, I think. I respectfully disagree with you, sir. And the reason why I do is because last season on a horrific Seattle Seahawks team, Russ put up some damn good numbers. Yeah. But Idris, what are your thoughts on Chulo's comment here?
Yeah, I respectfully disagree because even during the Legion of Boom days, he never really had a top flight receiver.
He certainly didn't have what he had at the end, but unfortunately not a whole lot.
He had Lynch running the ball, and beast mode is beast mode. That's why
beast mode was a bad man back then.
Yeah, but he's never really had a good offensive line, and he kept that team competitive year after year. He showed up every night, and he took a beating, man.
Yeah,
and even last year, he had basically nothing, but he still put up good numbers. He still put up good numbers. So, I mean, I can't call him overrated. Russ made Seattle. He made that team likable. I mean.
Yeah. And I'll be honest, there wasn't much to like for me because while I respect Richard Sherman, never a big fan of his.
Right.
But and I respect Marshawn Lynch, but once again, never a big fan of his. And me being an Irish fan, I despise Pete Carroll for many reasons, and I just don't care for him as a human being, let alone a coach. Russell Wilson, I have nothing but respect for. We're coming up on the final 20 seconds. Idris, we got to get out to this Jacksonville Giants game, bro.
I'm coming, dude.
Man.
I'm coming.
Yeah, man. You're welcome to stay here, or even if we link up in Jacks, how will we go about it? Until next time, got one final comment. We are out.